Today, I will be talking about one of the first major financial problems you will face as a founder: how to take investor money without arguing over what your company is worth. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Roland Umlauft. I'm a strategic CFO and independent advisor in the innovation and startup space. So when you raise your very first investment as a startup, often you're actually pre-revenue or really pre-anything. So how can you possibly value your startup realistically? Once a founder came to me with, a big forecast in a spreadsheet and asked me to build a valuation model for them. The problem was they had not actually even founded the company. So that big spreadsheet is nothing you can use for valuation purposes at that point. This is where convertible instruments come in. The primary goal of convertible instruments is to delay the valuation discussion until a future priced round, like a seed round or a Series A round, when you can negotiate a price based on your actual performance and outlook. Convertible instruments are giving investors a contractual right to receive equity later instead of selling at a fixed percentage of your company today. There are basically two main types of convertibles out there. On one side, you have SAFEs, and on the other hand, you have convertible note. So what is a SAFE? The SAFE, which stands for Simple Agreement for Future Equity, was actually created by the startup accelerator Y Combinator in 2013, specifically to simplify early-stage fundraising. The most important thing to know is that a SAFE it's actually not a debt. It's an investment contract. And because it isn't a loan, it also doesn't accrue any kind of interest and it has no maturity date. This makes it incredibly founder-friendly because there's no deadline for attaining a future fundraising round or any kind of legal obligation to repay the money if you haven't raised your next round yet. It's a short, standardized document. Usually it's only about 5 or 6 pages long. So this means you can close a deal really in days rather than weeks. Now, on the other side, what is a convertible note? A convertible note is a more traditional instrument that is legally structured as a short-term debt. So unlike a SAFE, the note accrues annual interest. Typically, you would see rates between 2 to 8%, which is added to the principal and eventually converts into more shares for the investor. Most importantly, it also has a maturity date, so usually 18 to 24 months after you sign. If that date hits and you haven't raised a priced round, the investor can legally demand repayment of the principal plus interest, or you'll have to renegotiate an extension, or sometimes you're forced to convert at a really low predefined value. Now, what makes SAFEs and convertibles attractive to investors? Well, investors will usually ask for one of two kind of sweeteners to reward them for taking early risk. First is the valuation cap. This sets a ceiling on the conversion price. So if your Series A valuation skyrockets to 50 million and you have a 10 million cap, your early investors get share at that much lower $10 million price. The second sweetener is what's called the discount rate. So this gives the investors a sale price, typically 15 to 25% below to what the new investors would pay in the next round. If an agreement has both, the investor typically converts just at the lower price of the two. Now, geography plays a huge role in which instrument you'll use, right? In the US, specifically in Silicon Valley, SAFE is king. So these agreements are used in about 85% of pre-seed rounds nowadays. However, if you're a founder in Europe, your investors might demand a more traditional, convertible note. In the UK, you will likely use what's called an advanced subscription agreement, or ASA. This is basically the UK equivalent of a SAFE agreement designed to be also compatible with their tax relief schemes. Just note that ASAs usually require you to issue shares within 6 months in order to remain tax compliant. So, when to use what? Generally, use a SAFE. If you are at the pre-seed or seed stage, you want to close really fast, and you want to avoid the pressure of a repayment deadline. Use a convertible note, on the other hand, if you're raising, maybe a bridge round between major financings, or if you're working with institutional investors or investors outside of the US who demand the extra security and creditor rights that the debt will provide to them. As a CFO, my final tip, always model your dilution beforehand, because if you're starting to stack multiple safes, it can lead to giving away much more of your company than you originally intended. Well, good luck with your raise. Please hit subscribe to receive more content about startup finance, and I'll see you in the next video.